Hello, everyone, and welcome to the final week of our 7 DVC Resorts in 7 Weeks series. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends, Mr. Sean Falk.
Hi.
Ms. Jackie Gailey.
Hi.
Ms. Steve Porter.
Hello.
And Ms. Corey Fiascanaro.
Hey guys, welcome home.
So this week it is Saratoga Springs that we're going to focus on. And actually, this was all Fiasco. He was the one that conducted this review. I had something come up at the last minute. I was not able to be there. So this is really going to be his show. And he had some experiences.
Yeah, I sure did. So I guess I'll just take it away now.
Go ahead.
Okay, so...
Oh, wait. No. We have a little video to show you of Saratoga Springs. All right. Now, I also have to get to the facts and figures. Also, let everybody know if you're interested in getting information when DVCstore.com has a new resale listing for Saratoga Springs. Sean's going to tell you what to do.
Yep. You can text the word Saratoga to 888-111, and that will get you a text message from us, from DVC Store, and they will have you opt in, so you'll need to click on the link that's provided and choose what use years you would like, or else you will not receive any information, because I won't just randomly send people things. So you need to make sure that you fill that out. If you don't have a preference on months, just feel free to put no preference. In general, Saratoga Springs is one of the more popular of the text words that we have. I would have been mentioning that on each one if I thought about it before now. But Saratoga Springs is one of the more popular ones. This is somewhere that people who already have a contract, most of the time they want to get another contract, and they want to go because of the price point value, or they want to add on more points to what they already have. So Saratoga can be competitive on like front-loaded points and on very specific use years. But overall, there's usually plenty of availability for Saratoga Springs contracts.
Right. Now, some facts about Saratoga. First opened in May of 2004 as Saratoga Springs. Prior to that, it was the Disney Institute. And before that, it was the Disney Village. Like, I think it was...
yeah, but it wasn't the buildings that it is now. It was, like, separate. Like, that's totally new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they created the Disney Institute. This was an idea of Jane Eisner, Michael Eisner's wife, who was at the time was the CEO of Disney. And this was going to be like more adult oriented, where they were going to have these various classes that you could take at the Disney Institute and do things like, gardening and cooking and different types of things like that. My parents loved it. My parents absolutely loved it. But as you can imagine, it did not do as well as they had hoped it would do. So they decided to make this into a massive 888 room. What's the matter? Yeah, boy. Yeah, it's okay. A massive 888 room Disney Vacation Club resort. What do you think it opened for, sale price, in 2008, Jackie?
I still think it was about $50, like Old Key West.
Okay, Sean?
I'm trying to think of my time.
What year?
2004. May of 2004.
I would say 75.
Steve?
63.
Fiasco.
A firm 68.
None of you are even close. $98 a point. $98 a point is what it opened for.
Oh. How did I get that so
And actually, I don't have my direct and resale prices in here because I was not prepared.
I know in general they resell for around
that price.
Around that price. So that's pretty much where they consistently stay. Currently, you're really not going to get it under $100 because Disney will like right of first refusal that and scoop it back up. So probably about $100 would be what you're going to get.
And I will tell you that buying it direct from Disney, $160 a point right now.
Okay.
So you really can save
A lot.
$60 or $70 a point
Yeah.
going through resale. Of course, there are restrictions with resale, but that's another topic. Contracts here expire in 2054. And Deluxe Studios, a little bit larger than some of the other ones, not as big as some of the others. 355 square feet, 714 square feet on the one-bedroom units, 1,075 square feet on the two-bedroom. Their grand villas, 2,113 square feet. And then they have the treehouse villas, which are 1,074 square feet, and those are really cool.
What'd you say for the one bedroom?
The one bedroom is 714 square feet. So about 200, almost 300 square feet less than Old Key West.
Yeah.
On those one bedrooms. So, Fiasco, you were the designated survivor.
Yes.
For this review, and tell us about what happened.
All right, so let me first preface, like we already kind of mentioned, this is a massive, massive resort. It spans all the way from the Treehouse Villas to Congress Park, and Congress Park is the area of the resort that you are in arm shot of Disney Springs.
Those are the preferred rooms because they are close to the main building or close to the walkway that takes you over to Disney Springs.
Right. So we were really close to the walkway to Disney Springs, which I was pretty psyched about. We did take advantage of that, and that was awesome. With that being said, this being such a massive resort, everything, all your amenities is located pretty much in the same general area. You know, you got the main pool, you got the restaurants, the dining, the front desk, the arcade, the leisurely areas, the DVC building. It's all in a relatively similar area, but there's a really good chance that wherever your room is, you're going to be pretty far away from that. And it is aside from having the potential of being able to walk to Disney Springs, you're probably going to be far away from everything
And
else.
when we say far away, I mean get in your car and drive to the main area.
Yes.
There is an internal bus service,
Yes.
but you really need you need some kind of transportation to get from your room to the front desk. So
my day isn't going to look like what your day is going to look like, and I'm not factoring that into my review at all, but I'm still just going to run through how it looked. I started off my day and kind of mapped it out with I'm going to start on one end and work my way to the other end because I already checked with the front desk, and they said I'm going to be in Congress Park, so that's on the opposite end by Disney Springs, and that the room should be ready because I wanted to see about when it was going to be ready. Is it going to be ready soon? Is it going to be ready later? So I can kind of plan out my day. And they said it's going to be ready later in the day, sometime around 3. So I was like, okay, sometime around 3. That sounds about good. I'm getting here around like 10:30 in the morning. So I start up at the Treehouse Villas and I work my way all the way down to Congress Park. Getting my B-roll and everything like that. I stopped for lunch at...
well, let's make sure people understand what you're talking about when he says
B-roll.
B-roll. He's filming the video that you just watched, and B-roll is any, those little overview pieces that
Right.
don't necessarily have people in it. So.
Right. Stop for lunch at Artist Palette. I know everybody here won't agree with me, but I love Artist Palette.
I can't understand why.
Yeah, I think it's really good. And I also want to say all the cast member there at Artist Palette, the cast member that checked me out, the cast member that brought me my food, even the cast member that checked me in, all super friendly. They were all really nice. But we're going to get to the point where my check-in experience really was pretty bad. Also want to say it was 103 degrees that day. I think it might have been the hottest day of the year. The feels like was 111. But we were doing the whole, because we were going to each part of the resort, I would drive, and I'd leave the car's AC running while I was driving. I'd get out, do what I needed to do, get back in. The car had been running. And I got myself to the Congress Park area around 3:30. So it's 3:30, and I was told my room's going to be ready around 3. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to commit to turning the car off now and just hanging out outside. Now, at another resort, this wouldn't have been as much as a problem because you have areas to hang out in, you have hubs. But now that you're all the way over on the other side of the resort, there isn't anything near you to hang out in and be cool. Well, time starts encroaching. Mind you, I got to Congress Park at 3:30. We're getting closer to 4. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to call somebody. So I called Disney, the resort hotline, and I was talking to them, be like, hey, I was wondering if my room's going to be ready soon. And they're like, oh, yeah, it should be ready any minute. Let me check the number you have on file, because it would have been Pete's number on file, but I don't think you were feeling great that day. So I was like, I'm not going to make him relay messages for me. So I'll just be like, use my number. Here you go. They checked and they confirmed, yes, it's the right number. So you should get the text. So I'm like, okay, so I'll just wait. After 4, I don't know exactly what time it was. I made another call because it still wasn't ready yet. The room wasn't ready till after 5. I believe it was about 5:17 when I finally got the text.
Basically an hour and 20 minutes after it's supposed to be ready. 4 o'clock is check-in. Room should be ready at 4. You cannot expect or get upset if they're not ready before then. You have every right to get upset if they're not ready by then, though.
Yeah.
If it's 4:30 and your room isn't ready, you have a right to be upset. At 20 minutes past 5, that's absolutely unacceptable.
Right. And and I know it's not Saratoga Springs' fault that it was so hot outside, but I was just like out there in the heat. I'm just like, do I go back into the car? No, I'm not going to go back into the car and leave the AC on. It's going to be ready any minute now. Like it's already 4:30. Like I'm not gonna. It should be ready like any second. And then when it wasn't, I was just like, I'm not doing good right now. But anyways, the room was finally ready at like 5:17. Got into the room, and I will say, the room was gorgeous. There was like
this was a redone room though, because they've just started rehabbing these rooms now.
So, yes, I'm almost confident that it was a rehab room, but the desk did not have USB.
Then it probably wasn't.
So it made me think that it wasn't. But I looked at the carpet. The carpet where it matched the baseboard, there was not any fraying. Things of that nature that you would check to see if it was rehabbed. Everything else checked out. The only thing that made me think, well, is it not rehab, was the fact that there was no USB on the nightstands, no USB on the desk, so it made me think twice. But the room itself was really nice. It like we were talking about Old Key West, and then back a few months ago we were talking about Bay Lake Tower, feeling like that home away from home in Disney. And the room itself definitely did give me that feel. It was very clean. There was a stain that I totally missed, but Haley pointed out on
Haley being your wife?
Haley being my wife pointed out on the couch that like I didn't even notice it, but then when she pointed it out, I was like, oh yeah, that is there. It looked like maybe somebody spilled a drink, or maybe had like mushed food on there, but they cleaned it up, and it was just it wasn't a big deal kind of mess. The room itself was very, very immaculate. And like our window looked out right at Disney Springs across the lake, where you could see like the hot air balloon and everything. It was really nice. And you didn't have, you had the jacuzzi tub, which was really cool. I honestly prefer the rainfall shower. I think those are cooler, but I do like tubs too. I'm not going to lie. I'm somebody who frequently shops at Basin and does the bath bombs in the tub. Not ashamed to admit that at all. But yeah, so the check-in process, and like I said, I know it's not Saratoga Springs' fault that it was so hot that day, but it is their fault that they said the room was going to be ready by 3 or around 3, and it wasn't, and that it's supposed to be ready by 4, and it wasn't. And I was there till after 5 waiting in the hot weather. And yeah.
So just as a point of reference for folks, we're recording this at the end of July of 2019. This resort is under construction. As they rehab these rooms, they usually take one building offline at a time, rehab the rooms, and then move on to the next one. But there is construction going on, and that's probably going to be going on into next year, 2020. So every 7 years, I believe it is what's known as a soft goods rehab. They change up mattresses, they change up maybe the carpeting, some of that other stuff. Every 14 years is a complete rehab of the room, where they kind of gut everything and basically recreate the rooms. And that's what's going on right now. This is a full rehab of it. And from what I understand, I've heard reports from a lot of people that are getting the older rooms that they are dirty, they are dusty, they are not in great shape. So that's why you may have gotten lucky with the preferred room that wasn't rehabbed yet, that was clean, because we've been hearing, various reports from people, not from everybody, but it's the non-rehabbed room. So people just need to be aware of that going in.
Right.
Now, would y'all say, because I mean, I've stayed in a lot of Disney resorts. When I was a kid, it was my parents checking in, and then most of the time now it's not me checking in. I just am there. And so, do y'all ever run into this where like rooms are not ready in time? I've never heard
Very
of that,
rarely
really.
It happens. It does happen. Usually on the hotel side, when that happens, they're going to give you something. They're going to give you a voucher for food. They're going to give you fast passes. They're going to do something. But I don't believe they offered you anything, did they?
No, they didn't. I made a few phone calls, 2 to be exact, 2 phone calls, and then I finally got the text shortly after the second phone call, and I was just really excited to get out of the heat and into the room, at that point. But nothing was offered.
And how comfortable was the room sleeping overnight?
So, like I mentioned in one of our previous shows about the Polynesian, I thought it was the nicest studio I've ever seen for DVC, but the bed wasn't that comfortable. This bed was very comfortable. This was a king bed, and it was not nearly as firm as the bed we had at Polynesian. I slept like a baby. This was an amazing bed, and it was a very homey, comfortable room. And I feel bad for everybody who said that they had bad experiences with the cleanliness, but I have to say, cleanliness was on point for my room too.
So, dining options at Saratoga Springs. Thank you. This is the 7th one of these today I'm doing, so I'm kind of afraid. Dining options are Artist Palette, which is their quick service location, which is also located in the same space as their store. Now, if you are looking for DVC merchandise, the widest variety of it is found at Saratoga Springs. That is also the home of the DVC Preview Center. So when you want to buy DVC, that's where you go. You go to Saratoga Springs. They have the model rooms for Riviera.
Alani.
I don't think Alani. Do they still have the Alani
It's
rooms?
Alani.
Yeah. So you can see preview rooms there of Riviera and Alani.
Alani's gone. It's
That's what I thought.
It's Copper.
it's Copper
Copper Creek now.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
When I went, it was Alani and Copper Creek, and that was back in March of 2019. So,
It was before they put the Riviera
so
rooms
apparently
in.
Riviera replaced Alani, which is weird. Like, right?
Well, yeah,
Alani's
because-
not even close to selling out. Why would they not get rid of
It's
Copper
also
Creek?
weird to me because in a couple years, Alani will be here, and like if they really wanted people, if someone was super curious about Riviera, they could like maybe have a room at Riviera where like no one's. If Alani is something that you can't.
Look, there's no rhyme or reason. Boardwalk sold out 100 years ago, yet there's still a Boardwalk Preview Center on the boardwalk at the resort. So no rhyme or reason to it. But so the Artist Palette is there. I know Fiasco says he loves
I do.
that. I've not had a good meal there yet. I find the food terrible.
I found the layout the worst part.
The layout is the worst part because, like you have the line to pay for your food.
The line to
kind-
get your food.
And well, the line to pay for your food and like where like you're like going through looking at the different like the merchandise, it's all kind of clumped together.
Yeah.
And so it just creates this bottleneck and it's very disorganized.
It's odd, yeah.
It's a very odd setup.
So they're actually refurbing Artist Palette right now too. So it's like it has the construction box over it, and you just have one little corner to order your food in, and they have a condensed menu because of it. I'm not sure when that's supposed to be done, but I feel like it is super awkward to order food there. It's super awkward, but I feel like they're taking that feedback and fixing it, and that's part of the refurb.
So the other option there is a table service restaurant called the Turf Club, which is the focus of this week's Disney dining show that's going up with this. We're kind of changing the release schedule right now for our dining shows. Normally they go up on Friday, but since these are going up on Monday, we're releasing the dining shows with them. So we have all this information at the same time. Now, I asked Fiasco to give me his overall ratings. He rated the check-in experience a well-deserved 3 for the fact that it was almost 5:30 before he got his room. Condition of the room, which comprises 50% of the overall score, you gave it a 9. Friendliness of cast, 20% of the score, you gave that a 9. And amenities and common areas, you gave a 6. Was that because of the construction?
So that definitely plays a part in it. A lot of things are under construction. And the biggest part of it, I would say, is because depending on where you as the guest is located, the chances of you being near any of these amenities is pretty low. So the ease of access to any of these things, whether I like Artist Palette or not, whether I think the gift shop is good or not, or the pool, the fact that you might be a bus ride away from actually using them feels like it's kind of,
Well, so overall, that gives Saratoga Spring the lowest rating of any of the 7 resorts that we reviewed in this pass. 7.8 is what it comes out to be. So, still not, it's not like a 4. But when you consider the other ones were ranging 9.2, 8.7,
8s and 9s.
yeah, they were all like 8.5, 9.5 for Copper Creek, and I gave an 8.1 to Grand Floridian. So Grand Floridian and Saratoga Springs pulling up the bottom of the list, but still very good.
Right.
Even at 7.8, that's a good rating for a hotel.
Well, I've always just hated Saratoga Springs. Like, it is not somewhere, and people feel very strongly about Saratoga Springs. Like, people who like it really like it, and people who don't do not. And I've always been in the like camp, absolutely not. And even like thinking about purchasing DVC, it wasn't something that was on my radar. Only it's very apartment complex-ish to me. Like,
Yeah.
it feels like the Florida apartment complexes, or possibly like someone decided to like try to make Celebration Florida into it feels like it's trying to be that in some way, and it is just not at all. But we did have an article that we released onto the DVC store site where a woman wrote her reasons that she loved Saratoga Springs, and that was her home resort, and she really liked it. And I will say her article was very, very convincing and really made me come around to the idea that even if I don't care for the room style and the size of the Saratoga Springs resort, there were other things that really tipped it in the right direction for me. And I don't care that much about being able to walk to Disney Springs either, but she brought up the point of you can use the bus access to get to any resort you want to and to get to any park you want to. And that's my biggest complaint when I'm at Disney World, is because I like dining in other resorts. So you have to go to a park, then from a park get on a different bus. And from Saratoga Springs, you don't have to do that. And that's important enough for me.
Because you could just walk to Disney Springs?
You can walk to Disney Springs and get on any bus you want to from right there.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense.
yeah.
Right.
I was like, wait
Like,
a
how do
second,
you do that?
can't
Yeah.
do it from Saratoga.
Right,
You have to
yes.
go. Okay,
because
good.
you can walk right over to Disney
Disney
Springs,
Springs,
and it's
yeah,
already
yeah.
on the side where the bus terminal is.
Yeah.
You can pop right in there and be like, okay, we're going over to Boardwalk for the night, or we're going
Yeah.
over. So Saratoga Springs actually has the easiest access to all other resorts on property because of that.
Via Disney Springs.
Via Disney
yeah.
Springs.
And also, I'm sorry, go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, that's well. I was gonna say there's 3 pools there,
Mm-hmm.
and there's even at one of the other pools there's even a quick service place, like a lounge.
With a little one, yeah.
So like there's a lot, even though it's so big,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of things going on at each of the
Mm-hmm.
little sections of the resort. So there isn't a water slide at each pool,
Mm-hmm.
but like the tree houses have their own pool. They even have their own bus system,
Yeah.
and so I feel like they do a good job of making it so that you don't feel like you're so far
Yeah.
away, but at the same time you kind of are. So it's kind of funny because that's our home resort, and I it's not my very most favorite resort, but I don't dislike it.
Well, yeah, let's be clear. There are no bad
Right.
DVC resorts. Let's
Right.
just start there.
Yeah.
Saratoga, because of its size and the number of units it has, getting availability at 7 months is very rarely a problem, even for studios. So that wide availability really does help out. They say buy where you want to stay, and then maybe Saratoga Springs fits your aesthetic and your style. Great. I put my sister and her husband there the end of May. They loved it. They absolutely loved it. So it's not by any means, off.
It's not a bad place.
No, not
it's
at
just
all.
not my aesthetic.
Yeah.
But the fact that it is so spread out, and some of those factors are kind of what take away from general popularity. It's not located near a theme park, really. It's not easy to get around. But, you take a look at the fact that a preferred studio in Adventure Season, which is the cheapest season, for a week is 97 points.
Yep.
That's... Think about that.
You could have a whole week for under 100 points.
Exactly. Also, when I was looking at, potential rooms for New Year's Eve, there's availability. Even right now in July, there's availability at that resort.
I also think, deservingly so, you gave it a 3 for the check-in experience, which really brought down the score.
Yeah.
But that's not going to be an every time
Exactly,
thing.
that's-
And so that really tanked the score. But, it could
But
have been...
that's all we can go on. We can only
yeah,
go on
you can
our
only go on that, and so I
experience.
think it's completely fair. But it could have been a number of factors why that happened that way, and it's you might have been in the 1% that day that happened to. I'm not saying that that's the case, but we don't have all the details that totally shifted. I mean, giving it a 3 is again
Right,
totally
no
fair.
question. A 3 destroyed
Yeah.
the rating on this review. There's no
That's
question.
just too bad.
Right.
Because as many times as I've stayed there over the last 10 years, I've never had a late room like that. I've never had my room not ready.
Well,
by
I'm
4.
excited. I've got people in the next couple of weeks. I have people staying in a treehouse villa, so I'm excited to see. I haven't been in one since they reopened them, so it's been a while.
Gosh.
So I'm excited to see that. But generally speaking, that's
They're magnificent. Truly.
yeah. They're very different, but they are way far away from.
You feel like because they have a boat that goes there. I mean, you really feel like you're in the wilderness. It's cool.
I think it makes me.
Well, you are in the wilderness.
Yeah.
It makes me feel like with Saratoga Springs, if I were driving down, I don't think it'd be that big a deal. Especially if you're coming from for a week. I get it. Like some people drive down from the Northeast. I always grew up in the Southeast, so it's not. It's 6 to 12 hours depending on where you're at in the Southeast to get here. So that's not as big of a deal if you're coming for a week. But if I was coming from like you from Washington State or whatever, I don't really want to get here and rent a car and unless I'm going to use the inner bus system and then the outer bus system. Like it just seems
That's
like
what
a
we did.
lot. Yeah, it seems like a lot by comparison. But when you factor in, I mean, like Pete was saying, if you're going to come in January in the slow time, you only need 97 points to stay an entire week, and right now it sells about $100 a point is what we're looking at. So I mean, till 2054, correct, is what it's at. I mean, that's 35 years still that's on it, and that contract's under 10 grand.
Yeah.
For under $10,000, you can come for a week in January every year for the next 35 years. But then you got to pay your membership dues on top of that per year and all that. But for a starting price, you're not going to get any better than that because Grand Floridian, you're paying minimum 25 grand
that's the thing.
to get a week every year.
I'm in the process right now of planning a big family vacation for when our daughter graduates next year.
Uh-huh.
And so there are going to be 11 of us because like you were saying previously, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever.
More people, yeah.
So we found it more reasonable. We could stay in a 3-bedroom grand villa for a week, but we found it more reasonable to stay in we're getting a 2-bedroom plus 2 studios.
Okay.
So my parents will have their own. My brother and sister-in-law with their 2 kids will have their own. And then my husband and I, our kids and their significant others will be in the 2-bedroom one.
Right.
I mean, it's a great use of our points,
Right.
really, because we're using almost 3 years worth of points.
Yeah.
So, and when you are going to do that, you have to, you can do it online yourself, But I find that when you're going to book 3 rooms like that, if you're doing a big family get together, especially at a resort like Saratoga, you want to try to see if they can get your rooms either connected or together. And when you call member services, they have a special way of coding those reservations. They link them, which isn't something you can do online if you do it yourself. But it's really, really cool because it just makes everything together, and it's a lot of fun. Plus we have 1 kitchen with the whole family. We don't need 3 kitchens to take care of, right? So and everybody has their privacy, which is nice,
right?
Well,
for a reasonable price.
Let me ask y'all then, because I mean, Saratoga, the minimum without Disney scooping it up is going to be about $100.
Yeah.
Old Key West without Disney scooping it up seems to be about 92-ish, maybe. But
Well, again, there's no rhyme or reason.
Right.
Right now, at the time that we're recording this, stripped contracts with no dues required at closing are the ones Disney seems to be taking back.
Right. So, but in general, Old Key West seems to be coming in about $7 to $10 less than Saratoga Springs, which can add up, I guess, depending on how many you're getting, but it's not like a deal breaker for the most part. So
Yeah.
would y'all rather buy, do you think it'd be a better investment necessarily to buy into Old Key West
I
now
like
or
old,
Saratoga
I
Springs?
like, just generally speaking, I like Old Key West more.
Okay.
So if it was me choosing, between those two, I would probably go with Old Key West.
Okay.
But I bought, I had a, good opportunity on a resale contract at Saratoga. I took it.
Yeah.
But more not from the standpoint that I like Saratoga, more from the standpoint that
You want the points.
I want the points, and the maintenance fees are really low considering.
And that, like I was saying earlier about the text words, Saratoga is one of the top 3, I believe, as far as people actually being signed up for that code word and getting alerts for that whenever they come in, because people are really just wanting to add cheap points onto what they already have.
That's
So
the thing.
if you have, I was saying earlier, 100 points, for $97 a point, you can get under 10 grand. That's going to go really quick because everybody will scoop those. Any of the resorts, anything under 100 points, they're gone instantly. So if you see you want to add on like 50 points or 100 points at any of them, they are gone very quickly.
And my thought on it is like the whole buy where you want to stay thing. Yeah, but that's for people who want to use that 11-month window.
Mm-hmm.
If the 11-month window, based on your schedule and your lifestyle, that isn't something that matters to you or would really help you.
Right.
And you're looking at 7 months in advance or even less to book your vacations. Saratoga is always the good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because if that's the way you plan, that's the way you do your vacations. Because for me, back when I was living in Massachusetts, planning my vacations here, I never planned my vacations 11 months in advance. It was like
I
3
also
or 4
want
months.
I also want to make sure I mention this. The spa at Saratoga is, in my opinion, the best one on Disney property. It's huge, great array of services.
That's a good one.
That, if you're a spa person, that's a big plus for Saratoga in my book.
Yeah.
If you're a spa person.
And that does increase the appeal of it being a resort-only stay. It also increases the appeal as a thing. I don't remember if it was in the article or not, but some people are coming down and they don't want to do Disney. Even if you've bought into DVC, you could still stay at Saratoga Springs, go over to Disney Springs for free. If you're doing a Universal trip, you can still stay there, go up to Universal because you already own the DVC. You can use it to go over to the beach, do, Kennedy Space Center, to hang out in downtown Orlando, Tampa, whatever you want to do, and just have Saratoga Springs as your hub,
Right.
and not have to do that. And like when we did Animal Kingdom Lodge, we didn't talk about it in that video, but we did actually get massages there, and it certainly was not the spa at Saratoga Springs or Grand Floridian or anything, because they did give us a massage, but it was like, hey, we found this room back here and set
Yeah.
up a table or whatever. It was a great massage and they were super nice about it, but like I felt bad
when
for
you
the
go to a
therapist because
spa-
I was like, you ain't getting a lot of business here. I can tell you that much.
When you go to a spa, you want a spa experience. You want a spa feel.
Yes.
But so there it is. That's our review of Disney Saratoga Springs Resort. That wraps up this episode. It also wraps up this round of reviews. So we hope you enjoyed it, and we will be doing these again. We are going to make some changes in the future to some of the things, how we handle some of these reviews due to some of the issues we had being recognized by Disney, kind of impacting our reviews. So look for another set of these. Probably not this year, but maybe early next year. So thanks, folks, for staying with us. And, of course, see you again on our DVC shows, which also go up each and every Monday. So until then, take care.